So today I'm going to show you how to do two things. How to make a really delicious pulled barbecue chicken and chicken wings in the oven. So both of those things, they're obviously, to me, they're very simple. I think a lot of people love them. A lot of people probably make them, or they at least enjoy eating them. Maybe they're not exactly sure how to make it the way that they like it. So today I'm going to show you how to do both of those. They're very quick, they're very easy, and I will say, there's a lot of different ways that you can do them. So first, I'm going to just show you a very, very basic way to do wings. And everybody that I make these for, usually love them. I personally don't eat wings. That's a whole nother story. I don't actually like to eat chicken off of a bone. So, don't judge me there. But anyway, I'm going to show you how to do chicken wings. So when people eat them, they tell me they like them, and I do them different ways. But today I'm just going to show you how to do them with just basic seasoning salt. Of course, you can do anything, just basic salt and pepper. You could do a lemon pepper. You could do, your Cajun seasonings, anything that you want. But right now, I'm just going to show you very basically how to do that. The first thing that you want to do is take a sheet pan, line it with aluminum foil, and spray it with your non-cook spray. Non-stick spray, not non-cook. So, of course, I just use the basic non-stick spray. So you want to do that first. And then you want to make sure that you have your chicken, the wings, you want to make sure that they're room temperature and that they're dry. The skin is dry. You don't want to have wet skin on, and they don't have to be like, just dry as can be, but you just want them to be room temperature and you want them to be dried off. So whether you have cleaned them and dried them off or, whatever your routine is with chicken, do that and just make sure that they are dry. Now, I would typically use my hands to do this, but I'm just going to do this so I can show you guys. So you're going to just take your wings, right? And what I like to do is just make sure that I'm going to place them. And I know this because I've done it so many times. I know that the wings will fit well. You can kind of lay them out first just to make sure that they're going to fit well. These will, so I'm not going to lay them all out yet. But what I want to show you is when you season them, you can season them over the sink, however you want to do it. Everybody's different. But I will literally take whatever right now I have a plate. So my camera's up kind of high, so I'm going to do it this way. But I just take my wings and I use seasoning salt. You can use any kind of seasoning salt. This just happens to be the one that I'm using right now. But you take your seasoning salt and you just coat it. Now, because it is a seasoning salt, you don't want to make it super thick and coated, but just like that. And you always want to flip it over. All right, you want to make sure that you get the ends. You want to coat the whole piece of the chicken, all right? The whole thing. And of course, the best way is to use one hand to hold the meat and season it, or if you're using tongs, and the other hand, keep it clean so that you're not cross-contaminating. And then you will go through and just season the chicken, okay? And I'm going to show you how I'll lay it out on the pan. It's okay for it to touch, but you just don't want it, right on top of each other, okay? So I'm going to get these seasoned, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like before we stick it in the oven. Okay, so this is the chicken once it's been seasoned. All right, so you can see I've just laid it in the pan. And they are touching, and that's okay. You just don't want them laying on top of each other because you do want the heat to get all the way around so they can crisp up really nicely. And you just want to make sure that you've coated the chicken really well. Again, if you aren't really big into the salt, then you may just want to use your regular seasonings and then lightly salt. Because again, I have used seasoning salt, so it can be a little overbearing for those of you who don't really do salt. Okay, so now that you see that we have the chicken seasoned, I'm going to just set it aside real quick because I'm going to show you how to do your pulled barbecue chicken. All right, so we're going to set that aside. What you will do though is you're going to put the wings into a 425-degree oven. So you'll put it in there for probably about 45 minutes. It just really depends. Like my husband, whenever I make it for him, he likes the skin really crispy. So I bake it extra long for him. It doesn't burn. I mean, it will take a little while for it to burn, even at 425. So they cook pretty quickly, but you can definitely tell when they're done. But if you like it really crispy, just leave it in there a little bit longer. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you how to do pulled barbecue chicken. I always use pulled barbecue chicken because it's healthier for you. It's not as fatty. I know pork is great and a lot of people love it, but I just prefer to go the healthier way. I have done pulled pork and I do it on occasion, depending on who I'm feeding, you know, what they prefer. And sometimes I'll do a pulled pork and I'll do pulled chicken just to give people options. So, but I just want to show you how I do the pulled chicken. So what I use are skinless, boneless chicken thighs, okay? So you get the skinless, boneless chicken thighs. And this is about 3 pounds, I think, of chicken thighs. You can use the one with the bones. Just know that after you cook it, obviously you're gonna have to pull the bones out, so I don't like that extra step. I'll buy them if for some reason I can't get the skinless, but you just get your skinless, boneless chicken thighs. And these don't necessarily have to be dried off as much. You don't want a bunch of water in there, but we're not trying to crisp it up, okay? And only thing I do is I use a steak seasoning. So any kind of steak seasoning, this is the one that I have this time, but you can use any kind of steak seasoning, and that's literally the only thing I put in here. So I'm just gonna season it really well. And so I'll, you know, when I put it in the pan like this, I'll season the top and then I'll just kind of turn it over, turn all the thighs over and just season underneath to make sure it's all over the chicken thighs. And the chicken thighs, even though they are skinless, there's enough fat, you know, that's kind of left from where they took the skin off, you know, to still give it some moisture in there when it cooks. So you don't have to put any kind of liquid, no water or anything like that, all right? And the juices from the chicken and the little bit of fat that's on there will cook it very nicely and tender. And that's what we're going for, okay? So you can see here, so I've seasoned the chicken. And then what I'll do is I'm gonna cover it with aluminum foil in just a second. And I'm gonna pop that into a 350-degree oven. And you will cook this with the aluminum foil on the entire time until it cooks down to where you can literally stick a fork and just kind of pull it apart, okay? And that can vary. And you can even put this in a slow cooker, which I've done as well, and cooked it overnight. You put it on low, it may only take 5 to 6 hours, depending on how much you put in your crock pot. So it's a great thing to cook overnight as well. If, like, say if you have something at work or you got something going on, you know, around lunchtime, it's great to put it in the crock pot that night. That way in the morning, your chicken is cooked and then the only thing you have to do is add the barbecue sauce and all of that. So, but I'm gonna show you what to do afterwards, but right now I'm going to put the wings in the oven and let those cook, and then I'll show you what that looks like. And then I'm going to put the thighs in the oven as well. And so they're gonna cook at the same time, and I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna show you what we do next with the thighs, and the wings will be done. Okay, so I'm back and the wings are done, and my chicken for the barbecue is also finished. So I'm gonna show you the chicken wings real quick. So here are the wings, all right? So they came out nice and crispy, the way my husband likes. And if you want them more crispy, you can leave them in there a little bit longer. They're not gonna burn too quickly. Okay, and that was, so that's the wings. And then where we're at with the chicken. So these are the chicken thighs, okay? They're nice and tender. There is some juice in there, you can see that. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm actually going to shred the chicken. Some of the juice that's in the bottom, if there's a lot of juice, and that can vary depending on how much fat's actually in or on those chicken thighs, you want to drain most of it. If there's a little bit in there, it's fine, but I usually drain some of it because you don't want your barbecue to be like, you know, really wet and runny. That's so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drain off a little bit of the juices, and then I'm going to shred it, and I am going to add my barbecue sauce. So here's the barbecue sauce that I'm using today. I use different ones just depending on what what I have or whatever. But if I do use these, this is a very inexpensive sauces. I think they're $1 something, maybe $2 each. So I like to use the sweet and spicy, and I mix it with the hickory smoke. I love hickory smoke anything, and I like a little sweet and spicy. So if you want to make your own barbecue sauce, you can do that. If you have a certain type of barbecue sauce that you prefer, get that. So those are just the two that I've selected. I really want you to see that it can be very budget friendly. The chicken thighs, you know, inexpensive barbecue sauce, as long as you like the taste of it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to shred the chicken and put the barbecue sauce, and then I'm coming right back. So yes, so whenever I shred my chicken, this is literally, all I do is I take 2 forks like this. And I know they have the fancy tools that they use for the pulled pork, which you can get those, you know, it's no big deal. You can use those, you can use forks. And honestly, sometimes whenever I do my chicken, I'll cook it and let it completely cool off. And then once it completely cools off, I actually just use my hands and tear it into bunches of little pieces, or, you know, you can just, it's just easier to handle if you're one of those people that want to touch your food. So I just wanted you to see, but this is it. I mean, shredding is just however you can get it shredded, honestly. You don't want to put it in, you know, like a food processor or anything like that. You definitely want to do this by hand. Or you can use a big knife, you know, if you're doing a lot of it, if you have a lot of barbecue to do, you probably do want to use some of the tools. This is just more of a family size portion, at least for, you know, my family. This is actually just a little bit when our boys are home. Again, we have 2 boys in college. When they come home, I need twice as much of this because they make barbecue sandwiches. They just eat it straight. They find ways to consume it however they have to. And also the other thing that you can do with this that I did the other night, whenever I made it, is you get the little, I love the little Hawaiian rolls, the slider rolls that are already cut, you know, sliced. And you get those, and once your chicken is ready to be put, you know, you've got your barbecue sauce on and it's nice and, you know, browned on top a little bit, you will scoop it onto these lovely little Hawaiian rolls, and it is so yummy. And what I do is I just put once it's all finished, I put it on the buns, put the buns in like a little casserole dish, and put a little melted butter on top of them. And I put a little aluminum foil on there, cook them for about 10 minutes, take them out the oven, and they're so perfect. All right. Okay, so now I'm gonna add the barbecue sauce. So I just kind of maybe do half a bottle of this one. I don't measure it. And maybe half a bottle of this one. And again, measuring is just not something I do a lot of. And you really don't have to. I mean, just put a little bit and then mix it up. You want to make sure that it's enough to coat the chicken, but you don't want it like slopping around in the barbecue sauce. Because it, you know, you can always add barbecue sauce, but you can't get it out. So it's kind of like salt, you know, you don't want to do too much of it. So you mix it around till all the chicken, you know, appears to be pretty coated. And everybody's different with their barbecue. Some people like their barbecue really, really stringy. Some people like bigger chunks. You can do whatever, however you want to do it. So if you like it a little more stringy, which I do, you actually do most of the time. I don't know why I decided to make it a little chunkier this time. But anyway, so as you can see, the barbecue has coated all the chicken. All right. And now all I'm going to do is I just kind of like to mash it down a little bit. You don't have to do this. I'm just particular. So, but anyway, I like to kind of flatten it all out so I know everything's kind of evenly spread out. And then what I'm going to do is my oven is still on 425 from where I cook the wings. So I'm actually going to stick it into the oven at 425, and I'm going to let the top to where you can start seeing some of the little pieces of chicken get kind of dark and crisp, where it starts really looking like that barbecue that you love. So I'm going to do that. It might stay in there 15 minutes. I'm just going to kind of watch it, and when it looks like I want it to, I'm taking it out and I'll show you. Okay, so now the barbecue is finished. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. This is kind of what you want to see. If you like, you know, a few of the little burnt, looks like it's charred, you know, tops on there. So now it's ready. So you can do whatever you want to do with it at this point. What I like to do again is I like to get the the Hawaiian slider rolls or the burger or the hamburger buns, either one, and just put it on there. The sliders I think are great for parties, little appetizers, or just, you know, I mean, I do it for dinner, but you know, I think they feed a lot of people when you do the sliders. So if you take the little sliders, you put the meat in there, put them in a, you know, 9x13 dish, or you can even put them on a cookie sheet, and take some melted butter, just drizzle the melted butter over it, or, you know, take a little brush and brush it on top of the buns, cover it with aluminum foil so they don't dry out, stick them back into the oven for maybe 10 minutes just so it can all heat up really nice. The buns can get nice and warm, and with the butter on top, take it out of the oven. I mean, it can be a 300-degree oven, 400-degree oven, just, you know, it's okay as long as it gets nice and hot in there. Take the aluminum foil off and you're good to go. Or you can just eat it like this. So if you're not really doing bread, take this, put it with a side, and it's fantastic. So anyway, this is the end result. This is what it looks like. It tastes really good. It's nice and tender. So there's not really a recipe to go along with it, so I can't really tell you. I'll put in the description box, you know, the best recipe I can give you. But this is one of those things, you can't really go wrong with it as long as you don't add too much barbecue sauce. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed it. Again, we did wings, we did the barbecue, so you can actually serve both of these, you know, at any kind of gathering. You can do it for the holidays if you're, you know, not really into the traditional stuff. But anyway, if you guys have questions about anything, just put them in the comments. And if you have not subscribed to my channel, make sure that you subscribe and click the notification bell so that you'll get a notification every time I post a video. All right, thank you and have a good one.